Okay, good afternoon. I haven't posted a video in a week or so I wanted to take a minute and go over your Chapter 4 assignment, the Apply Your Knowledge, the first one. I'm doing this because CSS tends to be the most difficult for students learning HTML, so I'm hoping that I can just simplify things for you with this. So what you're doing is creating a web page that has markers for links but no links. So what you'll end up with is one page, and it will not link to anything, and I'll show you what that page is going to look like. But up to now, you've been doing HTML code, simple code, doing it in Notepad or whatever you're using, and then saving it as an HTML, and it loads as a web page. But CSS is important, and I'm glad that this book introduces it early, because if, let's say that you have a website that has 6 pages, a home page, and then it links to 6 other pages, and you want all the backgrounds to be green, and you want them all to have the same picture on them. If you're just coding using HTML, you have to do that code to make it green and make the image and everything else you want to do. You have to do that 6 times for each of the different pages that you're going to link to. So all CSS does is take the styles where you say, okay, I want these same styles, this kind of font, this kind of size font, these images, etc. I want them to show on multiple places, and I don't want to have to recode it. So it looks a little bit different than HTML. So let me just get started. For you, your data files, you will have an HTML file and an image. What you're going to have, this is what you're going to show. You're going to zip this, something that looks like this, for this homework assignment. You'll have an index.html file, that's your main web page. Then you'll have an images folder that has this image in it, which you are given in the data file, so you don't have to change anything from that. And then you'll have a CSS folder, and in that you'll have a file called styles.css. So this is exactly what you need to turn in for the homework for apply. So let's take a look at some of this. I'm going to open up the index HTML file and also the CSS file. So looking at this, this is exactly what your file should look like when you load it up. When you're done with it, it's going to look exactly like this. Notice that these links do not work because we're not doing multi-page things yet, but they are set up as links so that if you want to add pages later on, that's possible. So let's look again. When you get an HTML file, don't forget you want to just right click and say view the page source, and you can see the code that's here. So let's take a look at this code. First of all, I love comments in HTML, so this caret exclamation point dot dot. So here you're putting your name in the file and the date. That obviously won't show on the web page, but that's where you put all your comments. Then you have, this is the standard stuff you've been doing, the heading, the title, the meta character set. And then you're going to have a relative link, and that is going to call up the CSS style CSS. So take a look at how this is coded, and remember that your CSS code is in a folder called CSS, and then it is a file called styles.css. If you forget the S and you just put styles.css, it's not going to work. If you put this code outside of the subfolder called CSS, this code won't work. So you have to, that's 9 times out of 10 the problem with the website, that you have mistyped something. You have an image called dog.jpg and you have put dogs with an S on the end, and that's why it won't call up. So almost always it's spelling for some reason that I've run into anyway. So this is calling up your CSS, which we'll go over in a minute, but let me just show you the code for the main web page. So by now you should be familiar with, you have the heading, and this is what's going to show on the main page right here. And then this is the body. So right here is your comment that you're defining a header, and then you have your header tag, and the header is, you're using header 1, and that will tell you what size it's going to show. And it's W3C CSS working group. So that is right here. As header 1 is the largest, and then as the numbers get higher, the sizes get lower. So there's your header. All right, now here's your nav section. So in your navigation section, this UL is setting up an unordered list, just in general, and then you are setting up. This is an ordered list. So right here, it's going to say, this is a link to the index.html home. And then these are the blank links, link 1, 2, 3. So this is here, home, link 1, link 2, link 3. This is the code for that. That's exactly how your code should appear. And then the end of the list, and that's the end of the navigation. So then you have your main content area. Notice again, this is your picture. It is in an images folder. So you must have an images folder, named images, not image, not IMG, nothing like that. It has to be images. And inside the images, you must type this word-cloud.png exactly as it's saved. Then you're going to do an alt here. That's going to show just a text description of the image, what the image is. Okay, so then down here in your CSS working group, this is the setup for that area. Now notice you have a link. The CSS working group is a link, so let's look at that right here. So if I click on that, that's going to take me to an external place. So that's what that's for. And then this is all the rest of the text. And then here's another link. This is an external one as well, and that is here. I'm sorry, that's not there. That was the third one. Anyway, that's the rest of the main. And then here you have the footer with the student name, copyright, etc. And that is right down here. Don't forget to fill your name in. Okay, so that's fairly simple HTML to set up a single web page. Now, because you're calling up a CSS sheet to put the styles in, if you just didn't have this text in there, and feel free to play around with it, if you take that out, you'll see you'll get a very different looking page. So right now we're going to do the CSS. So here's what the CSS looks like. I have an old name in here. So this is the page that you'll set up for your cascading style sheets. So the first thing that's happening here is, now again, this is how you do the comments in this, but you're doing a reset. So this particular piece just does kind of a refresh, and it resets everything to 0. So that's the reset to clean everything up. Now the next one is for body and then the images stuff. So what you're doing here is setting a background color of this. You can find online all of these different numbers. You can also use words. They like to use numbers. That's fine. It's a hexadecimal. This particular one is equal to light blue, but it's easy to go online and say, hey, what are the tag calls for HTML for colors, and you can find them. Then right here, this is setting the size for the image, which is 100%, and the display is block. And you get all these instructions in the homework. It's just what you're filling in. So now we're looking at the style rule for the header count. And again, these comments are very important. Please make sure you put them in. Again, they don't display, but it's easy for me to, when I'm looking at your code. Okay, so this is the heading 1. We want to center. We want to do, this is again, another code. It's the font value. You'll be given that. Font family. Here's the padding. The padding is going to refer to the space between the content and the border of the element. So this is a small pad. And again, another color value. So that's just for the header. And that is, should I pull this up? Hopefully. Okay, that's for this area up here. So, all right, now here's the navigation area. So we're going to do set up the background color again, and you can see why it's so easy for you. Now you're going to use, this is all you need. This little squiggly, the word nav, because that's what you're working on. This little squiggly, and then an end squiggly. And that's all you do. So the computer is just going to say, okay, nav, and then this is what I'm going to do. So you have to have those. Make sure you have those. So here's your unordered list. A lot of this is extra stuff that you're not using. Like you're not using this. This is centered at none. This is a margin of 0. But it's good practice to get it in there because, you may want to put a margin of something in a future site. So you kind of know where you're going to put this text. And this is the UL. That is... sorry, movie trailer. That is... Okay, now I'm thrown off because you saw my FARC reading that I was doing. FARC as in F-A-R-K, which is just like a news site. All right, let's go back to what we were doing. Okay, the unordered list and the list, and this is just the font size, font weight, etc. And that is, this stuff. So then we go back. Here's the main content. Again, you have your padding. Tells you what font to use. I don't think I really need to go through most of this stuff. I have some notes. Now, where's the EM? Okay, here's the EM. So you'll notice this is in a lot of them, EM. That's our relative reference. So it used to be you'd just give a size and it would be in centimeters. But with people using larger sizes or using their phones and having mobile content, maybe you've gone to websites that just didn't show up right on your phone. That's because the sites are using old coding, frames and centimeters and things like that. So EM is just, the current, how you do on size. So let's look at, so it's here on this list, inline block, that's another one that you get the instructions to do that, but it just means that it keeps it on the same line in case it's going to scroll. Couple of other things that I wanted to point out. Here's going back to the main content again. I'm sorry that I think I just told you the wrong thing. It's this overflow that's auto, which just means that this adds a scroll bar in case there's overflow on the line. So you want to keep that in there. So here's the padding and the font, etc., etc. So main paragraph, this is for heading 3. You have to specify all of them. This is for the image, this is for the group, this is external. And then I think the bottom one